Yo, what's good? This is Chef David Olson with Live Fire Republic, and we've landed here in the very far northern rustic reaches in the great state of Michigan. Today, I'm gonna be introducing you to one of my very good friends, Chef Steve Stallard, founder and owner of BLiS Gourmet. Together, we're gonna be foraging these natural woodlands for wild mushrooms. And if we're lucky enough to have a phenomenal harvest, later on today, we're gonna be preparing French rack of venison with our wild mushrooms, all over live fire. I promise, you don't wanna miss this. Let's go. Steve,
how you doing?
What's up, man?
What's up, brother?
How are you?
I'm well.
So glad to see you out here, man. In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we are. We're in northern Michigan doing a little bit of foraging.
Well, it is beautiful up here. I mean, this is quote unquote your backyard up here in the far northern reaches of Michigan, right? But you've invited us here to do foraging, and I couldn't be more pumped about it.
Yep, we're gonna look for some mushrooms. Not guaranteeing anything, but I think we should find lobsters, chanterelles, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll find a chick in the woods. So we're gonna go at it today. It's early in the morning. Let's hit it.
We have a full day ahead, so let's get on to the foraging, and then we have a cook later on today, which I'm equally excited about. But maybe we even let whatever mushrooms we find, let's let that kind of dictate a little bit of what we're gonna cook here.
Absolutely, because you never know what we're gonna get out there.
Okay, let's hit it, huh?
Sounds great.
Okay.
They're absolutely delicious.
And based on the color, what do you
try it?
Try the red one?
Yeah, there's a seed in it. So this seed here, basically when you cook it out, there's a little bit unripe.
You're right.
Sweet.
Yeah, it is. It is sweet.
Almost a red currant.
Just like a red currant.
Yep. A little bit of tannic.
And it's called autumn olive.
Autumn
but
olive.
It's invasive?
It's an invasive species that essentially, well, it really benefits. They put it in for hedgerows, and now it's kind of taken over everywhere, but everything eats it. Deer, bear, birds. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Wow, that's delicious.
So
now, how
game
do we
sauces.
use this?
Well, I take it and cook it. I usually don't put very much sugar, a little maple syrup to it. Cook it down. It doesn't need any acid. Strain the seeds out. Put some pectin in it.
Yep.
And then use that as a jelly. And I finish sauces with it. It's a perfect Cumberland or Oxford sauce. It goes great with venison. Any game.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really good. Steve's got a nose for mushrooms. Look at him go. First lobster of the day. Look, you gotta have the eye for it. You could easily be just eyes up on your way, and here it is popping up out of nowhere.
Yep.
So
lobster mushroom is a fungus that actually, it's a parasitic fungus that attacks another mushroom. In this case, it's Rusula brevipes. It's a white Rusula. So it attacks that. It's called Hypomyces lactiflorum, and that then turns a not a very good eating mushroom, not poisonous, but not delicious, into a delicious choice mushroom.
wow. So what's the best practice for harvesting a mushroom like this?
Well, we like to cut them right off at the base.
Okay.
Okay, these are very dirty mushrooms. They have a lot of sand in them. So you make sure that I keep lobsters separate.
Okay.
And trim off anything that's not delicious and just lay them in there.
Wow.
Gently. That's our first start.
Wow. That's beautiful.
And they are gorgeous too, and they make a beautiful red sauce. As you cook them or saute them, they kind of bleed into the butter or the cream, whatever you're using, and it kind of turns it that rusty red like lobster color.
Yeah, beautiful. You got another one?
Another one.
Steve, you got a nose for this, man. You're like one of those mushrooms. What do they call like the truffle dogs?
The truffle dogs, yeah. I'm trying to work on mushrooms. I've been doing this for a long time. Here we go. This is beautiful. This isn't just popped and clean.
Oh, you can tell the difference too. Look at that.
Sure can. They're just spectacular. When they just come up, they don't have any insects, or they have a tendency to get hit with slugs quite a bit. So you want to get them early for sure.
Kidding me?
Chicken of the woods. Laetiopora sulphureus. These are absolutely outstanding, but they must be taken very young. If they start to shelf out, then they become chalky and woody and they're not particularly palatable. The key on chicken of the woods harvest is to make sure that the shelves look like your rounded knuckles. Once the shelves spread out like this, they're not good. Don't take them, leave them, let them spore. But when they're very young and tender like this, the whole thing is edible. They're silky smooth. They're almost like, they're really one of the most delicious mushrooms there is.
Unbelievable. What a find.
That is gorgeous.
That to me is like the gold sitting in the pot at the end of the rainbow, right? That is amazing.
This is our favorite mushroom.
Rare find, amazing
Rare
find. Now, we have to be really delicate about harvesting this, so show us what we need to do here.
Well, we want to just kind of wiggle this back at the back cut, and then we want to bring that knife, cut it right off at the base.
And it's growing right.
And there it is. Wow. And see how rounded and tender? Feel how tender that is.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. They have a salmon colored top and then a very sulfur colored bottom, obviously the way they call it sulphureous. But the bottoms are usually sulfur. There's two species we pick in Michigan, and one is a little bit paler than this. But just smell the fragrance of that.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that beautiful?
I mean, it's so woodsy, and it's, you have that like umami, mushroomy type of essence to it. This is just incredible.
People say it tastes like chicken. I don't necessarily agree with that. When they're like this, these are like some of the best porcini flavors. I mean, I get more of a mushroom flavor out of it. Wow. Just a deep, rich, meaty mushroom flavor.
I was gonna say, that was literally what's on my mind, is it's like, it's meaty in terms of its texture and its density. When you think of a mushroom you might get like in the grocery, the market, right?
Yeah.
It's almost light. This is dense.
Yeah,
this is dense.
And when they're taken in this stage, there is just nothing better than them. When they get shelved out, which unfortunately a lot of people do pick them like that, they have a bad experience with them because they tend to be chalky, and woody. But when they're like this, they're flawless.
Well, I think we should probably keep our eyes down.
Yeah.
And on to the next.
Because I can't believe it, in the same area, we've got a chicken, we got another chanterelle, and we got another lobster mushroom literally within 10 feet of each other, which is amazing.
Chicken,
chanterelle, right there.
So we have now in the same, with 3 steps away, we have chicken, chanterelle,
and lobster.
What on earth is going on here in Michigan? And this is mushroom foraging in the great state of Michigan. All right, buddy, it's time to do the real work now, and that's the cleaning, right?
Exactly.
Now, what do we got to do here?
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna take the dirtiest mushroom first. Now, before we picked, you noticed that we really cleaned and trimmed them up.
I did.
You never wanna pull them up by the roots and throw them into your bag. You're just gonna have the biggest mess in the world. So we did a good job in the field. And so what we're gonna do right now, like these lobsters are probably the most dirtiest ones. And we were gonna cut a lot of this dirt right out. That's the best way to do it. Because it's so deeply rooted in there, you'll never be able to get that out. And they also rinse and take water really well. They soak water up like a sponge, both of them, so you don't want to keep them in there that long, but lobsters can take some water and that's the way we cook. Now that is just ready to go. And we'll do the same thing for this.
It's easy enough. Yeah, because I think most people would think, well, we can get in the water and I'm going to sit here and brush it all day long, which, I mean, credit to them. I mean, no one really likes a mouthful of dirt when they're eating mushrooms. But on the other hand, I mean, to me, this feels so much more efficient and reasonable.
Yes, it is. You can toothbrush all day long on lobsters. You'll never get that dirt out. It has to be cut out because it's really deeply ingrained in the pores. You get the best you can right there.
That's
clean
great.
it up, and there you go. Now the chickens, these don't touch the ground. This one was off the ground, so there's not a lot of dirt. These are so clean. They we really don't need very much of it, trimming at all. You see a little bit of speck, it's usually just bark, and a quick rinse really fast, and that is ready to go.
Wow.
Same thing with this. We'll peel these off like this. There's that chicken, and take a little bit of that base out. There's a small amount of bark there. That's really all that's on that chicken. So they really clean up usually very, very well. I do dunk them in water a little bit, but don't keep them in there too long.
Of course, because they're going to soak up all that water and it's going to
Absolutely.
end up in whatever we're cooking or the pan of the sort.
Exactly. So here again, this is mostly bark where we pulled that off that stump this morning.
And we want to get rid of those fibrous ends, of course, because they're certainly not as edible as the other portions that we're really looking for here.
You're absolutely right, but unfortunately, this is probably the most tender chicken we've seen this year at least, so it's just beautiful. It'll be just buttery smooth. And so that's a chicken. Now chanterelles can be a little touchy. Now these are really clean. This is one that just came up fresh. So
yeah, I noticed several of these are extremely fresh. Some more than the others, but this one is beautiful.
Right. This, we did our job in the field, which is really important. Make sure you leave the roots in there, cut them off, clean them up, and then take a look. If you see anything on the top, wipe it off your hand. Really just a quick dunk there, and that is ready to go. If you see anything underneath the gills, a lot of times the rain will splash up and it gets underneath the gills here.
Oh, I see that,
You'll see that, and what I like to do is to take that knife and just scrape it out.
Sure.
And that way you're just not applying water too much to them too much.
Man, and now
That's ready to go.
you're using what I would say is a special knife for this type of cook. Is there a certain knife that folks should be thinking about using when they're doing cleaning of mushrooms?
Just a small paring knife.
Small paring
Something
knife.
that's really easy to handle in your hand and that you're comfortable with and it's sharp enough. Like this, there's a little bit of dirt here on the top here. We scrape that off with our knife. Look at the bottom, see if there's anything underneath those gills. There's really not. A quick rinse there for the loose sand, and that one's ready to go.
Yeah,
Here we are.
That is easy
So
enough.
when we prepare them for a risotto, I do not like to slice chanterelles. I like to tear them like this.
Oh.
So we get nice chunks of chanterelle like this, so everybody gets a big bite of chanterelle.
Love that.
Now, the other two mushrooms that we found today, the lobsters, those I like to slice thin.
Okay.
And the chickens, we'll take those and just
And so they're both the lobster and the
chicken.
sliced very thin.
Yep. And that's how we're gonna prepare that. Not because they're tough in any way, because these are not gonna be tough.
Yep.
It's just they move through and you get more dispersion in the risotto. For different dishes, you can do them a little bit chunkier. I've seen people try to fry them like fried chicken, and I prefer them this way myself.
Look at the colors on those. I mean, it's just, they're meaty. I don't know another way to
beautiful.
say that. They're just amazing.
They are. And this is
Wow.
these are the lobsters, perfectly clean. Cleaned with a paring knife. We are ready to go.
Wow, that's it. That's it. Well, why don't we do this? We have a little bit more cleaning to do, and then we get on up to the grill, and I think it's time to start getting to work on the fire.
Sounds fantastic.
Okay. We've arrived back here at Steve's cabin in northern Michigan. This place is breathtaking, but It's time to get onto the cook, and we're gonna get the Primo fired up. Now, today we're gonna be cooking in true two-zone fashion. And what I mean by that is we're gonna set up the grill and the charcoal for one high heat direct searing zone and the other for a slower roasting zone. Let me show you how to do this. Steve, I'm super pumped about this cook. We have not only the wild mushroom, but we have French rack of venison out here. Awesome. And tell me there's anything more Michigan than wild mushrooms and venison.
Nothing. And we got beautiful venison, we got beautiful mushroom. We just went out and got 3 varieties. We're gonna come back, make an excellent risotto, maybe put a splash of something special in there. And I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Well, I know you're gonna work on and show how to do a world-class risotto out here over live fire. I'm gonna get seasoned up this venison. We're gonna go with kosher salt, cracked black peppercorn, roasted granulated garlic. We have some dried thyme and onion, but we're gonna also blitz down these dried mushrooms. We have a little bit of chicken of the woods in here, some black trumpet, porcini, and shiitake mushroom.
Great.
And I have no idea in Latin what any of that is, but
well, that's another day.
That's another day. All right, so let's get started here, and let's get the venison running, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay. Steve, I don't think there's a better choice for a binder than the bourbon maple barrel-aged hardwood smoked reserve soy sauce. It's just a perfect complement for wild game. So tell me a little bit, as founder and owner of BLiS Gourmet, tell me about the reserve soy sauce. Tell us a little bit about the company, and I'm gonna get to seasoning up our venison here.
Well, it's one of the sauces that we do. We're particularly proud of it because I love cooking game more than anything. And the soy is an old company, very old, 250 years old in Japan. We bring it directly over and age it in our barrels. And then this one is further aged, then smoked for 4 days, not 4 hours, 4 days over cherry wood. So the company started as a chef ingredient company. We wanted to bring really good quality products, whether it's our roes, whether it's our sauces, seasonings, anything. We kind of diversified that. I worked in kitchens for 25 years, worked as sous chef for master chefs. 2 of them have been staged in Michelin 3-star, and worked in Singapore for a while, did a stage there at a 5-star, 5 diamond. So my food experience is kind of pushing towards your table. And what I want to do is bring things and elements to your cooking that elevate it without a lot of work. Just add it to it, and the bourbon barrel aged syrup were the first ones to start bourbon barrel aging, but those barrels produce so many other nice things.
That's right.
One of them is the hot sauce, the other is the steak sauce, the vinegars, our fish sauce, which is extraordinary. So that's where we're at, and that's kind of what we do as far as a company. We're a chef-driven company that tries to deliver to chefs and home cooks to make them be like chefs.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, for folks out there that watch our episodes forever, they've seen BLiS products, and we're only using the best of the best. I mean, we come out here and do these episodes, I mean, it's no different. I mean, that is why BLiS is out here. I mean, they're phenomenal products, from the sauces to the vinegars to the syrups. I mean, you name it. And we're gonna have some really cool stuff to share with, I think, folks a little bit down the road between BLiS and Live Fire Republic. But man, oh man, what you guys are doing is truly unique. And, you know, culinary background, I mean, forget about it. I mean, you've not only had some of the most amazing experiences yourself as a chef, but you've trained Michelin-starred chefs yourself.
Yes, I've been fortunate to have people that are a lot better than I am, to be honest with you. But they are, I've had some really good people that worked with me as I've kind of moved on in my career. So I'm really proud of that.
That's great, man. Well, I'm excited to be out here. Our venison is looking pretty dang good.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna finish it off with our dried mushroom rub, and let's get this bad boy on the grill and move on to our risotto, huh?
We sure will.
know, one of the things I like about the seasoning, it's simple. I mean, we're using kosher salt, cracked black peppercorn, thyme. We have some roasted garlic that's in there, but I mean, it's simple stuff, but when put together, I mean, you have this real umami flavor profile that's happening. Venison on its own, I mean, it can be simply seasoned to me, salt, pepper, I mean, you're good, but this isn't, to me, a profile that masks that flavor of the venison. I think it really elevates it.
Absolutely. And you know, when you apply this, simple ingredients that are pure, fresh, hit it to smoke and fire, you got something really good.
Here we go. Well, we're gonna reverse sear these. So we're gonna go on the Primo, on the indirect side. We have the ceramic set up over here on the left. I'm gonna get these bone set side down. And then let's just get these bad boys here in. And here we go. We'll let them rest. We'll close the lid. What do you like for a pull temp on these? What's the temperature?
126.
126.
That's
there we
going
go.
to keep it pretty rare and then give you a little bit of flexibility. You might take it a little bit more because there's some carryover, but I try to shoot for 126 to 128, 129.
Perfect, we can do that. So while those come up to temp, we're gonna put them on the indirect side to slowly elevate, and then we'll sear and encrust them over that direct heat. But until then, why don't we get to work on the risotto?
Sounds good. This is what we're going to do today with these mushrooms. We just cleaned and sliced these, they're ready to go. Like we said, we pulled these apart for nice chunks of chanterelles.
Beautiful.
We're going to do risotto. It's going to be a white wine risotto. You can use red if you wish, but you know, risotto should be dry wine.
Yeah.
So, and also not cheap wine. So a better wine. It doesn't have to be the most expensive wine, but it does have to be a good wine.
Okay.
So we're gonna use a dry white wine. This happens to be a Sauvignon Blanc from the Loire Valley. And then we're gonna do half butter, half olive oil, onions. We'll finish with a Reggiano Parmesan. We're gonna also finish with a little bit of butter. The fat goes in at the end, and we'll put the preparation. I'm gonna add a little rosemary to this, I think, to give that body to those wild mushrooms.
Yep.
I think that'll go really well with the venison. I think it'll go good with the mushrooms as well.
And then we have a little splash surprise at the end for folks,
do.
right? Okay. All right, so then let's do this. I'm gonna follow your lead here. You walk me through. How do we prepare 5-diamond, 12 Michelin starred risotto?
Well,
we're all on the Primo.
We have onions, a little bit of garlic, and we're gonna saute and sweat this.
Okay, let's get on that pan.
On the Primo.
There we go. About 50-50?
About 50-50.
Okay. There we go.
Awesome.
Love it. Okay, now tell me about butter and olive oil. What's the value of using both in a cook like this?
Well, it prevents it from being too over browned
Yeah.
as far as the butter, but a little bit of that beurre noisette or that nutty flavor or that browning of the butter is really good. We're not gonna cook it that hard, so it's gonna be slower, but butter just gives it a savory, smooths out the olive oil a little bit more in a risotto. Risotto is a creamy, nice, delicious, kind of rich, decadent dish. And
Yeah.
with mushrooms, keeping things really delicate is really good.
Well, it's good to know, because I feel like maybe I've been lying to people, because I've been telling them that it's the olive oil for the flavor and the butter for the health benefits.
It's backwards.
That's backwards. I'm not a dietitian, you know? All right, so butter's down. Now how do we know when the butter's ready in
We're
here?
gonna let that melt right
Okay.
down until it gets really sizzlingly hot.
Okay.
And then we're gonna sweat our garlic and onions together. Not very much garlic, mostly onions. And then our stock, we choose to use half chicken stock and half that we've made earlier today.
Yeah.
Half chicken stock and half water.
Okay, great.
Because I like the Parmesan Reggiano, the cheese to come through, the mushrooms to come through. Sometimes an over-dominant stock will take over those delicate flavors. And so we want the mushrooms, the Reggiano to come through, and the finishing of the butter and a little bit of olive oil at the end.
Yeah, this sounds amazing. Can't wait to see this. Okay.
So
Great.
we're gonna toast that rice off right after the onions have been sweated out a little bit.
Okay.
That rice will get toasted a bit. It'll take knock some of that starch down.
Yep.
And then we're gonna add our acid to it. Very critical, important that you add a wine to it of some sort, because that acidity going into that rice gives it that umami taste, that acidity that you need to have.
Oh, this is a masterclass on risotto.
We're going to start putting our onions and garlic mixture in here right here. Get these onions sweated out nicely.
And now for those at home, talk to me about what is sweating an onion?
Well, it's just basically cooking it till it becomes opaque.
I got you.
are somewhat clear, not brown, but just opaque.
And now we're using copper over the grate like this. We use cast iron. Copper is totally fine as well.
Yeah.
We're just gonna get that butter infused in there. Once it's melted down, get the water out of the onion, and that's kind of how we know we're ready down to the next step.
Exactly.
Chef, this is one I think the fun parts
Oh, boy.
about this grill
Looking
and the
beautiful.
cook is we can walk and chew gum a little bit, right? We can do risotto over here on the direct heat while we have the venison on the lower side over top of that ceramic plate. So we're still cooking it, getting a really nice bit of crust and char on that exterior. But listen, you can do your work on your side, I can do mine, and everyone's gonna get fed at about the same time.
Great.
Ready to do the wine now?
Ready to do the wine. So this is gonna come in next. We got a good heat on there, and I'm gonna put a pretty generous portion of wine, as you can see there.
Is it important to leave a lot of wine for drinking as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. At least 2/3 of that bottle.
At least, Chef says at least 2/3 of the bottle for drinking wine. I like it. All right, this is good. So now when the wine goes in, is there a certain time? So I've asked a lot of people this question, but does it make a difference the temperature of the wine? It should be room temperature when the
Yes.
wine goes in? Okay.
It just makes it a little bit faster, a little bit easier. It really doesn't make it's gonna heat up pretty quick here.
Okay.
So once we dry this out, we're gonna dry this wine out a little bit, just to cook some of that raw alcohol out. And then we are gonna add our mushrooms.
Wow, that's great. So we're now gonna be almost infusing the mushrooms then with the flavor of the wine, the butter, that caramelization happening around the onion. Man, that's gonna be nuts.
Well, there's a couple of ways to do mushroom risotto that I like to do. This texturally wise will break the mushrooms down a little bit more, but what it does is it pushes more mushroom flavor into the risotto. You can cook the mushrooms separately, and as the risotto is finishing, then add the mushrooms to that. I prefer it this way because I get more bold flavors coming out of it.
So we're not, so you could, if you really wanted to, saute maybe the mushrooms in advance and then fold them in, but now we're having that full flavor of the mushroom right into the risotto.
Exactly. We're going to extract the water that comes out to them, and they're going to just distribute through that risotto, so it gives it more of a pronounced wild mushroom flavor.
Oh, that's great. Well, you're already starting to see it now in here, and this goes quick. You have to work fast when you're working risotto, but we're already starting to thicken up. You have a cup of wine that's gone in, and it's already gone.
Now our mushrooms are going in. We're folding a generous amount because they do shrink. So we want this to be pronounced with mushroom.
Look how colorful that is. The colors on that are just incredible. Okay, so we
get our
start
heat up here, so we're going to start adding our stock gradually, a little bit at a time, stirring it in.
So we start with the wine, let that burn off and cook down, get absorbed, and then now we're going in stock about a half cup to 3/4 a cup at a time.
Now these mushrooms look like they're going to be really big and stick out, but they're actually going to shrink quite a bit.
Okay, so we're gonna start seasoning right now before the fat gets added back into the risotto.
Exactly. So this is a little bit of our hardwood smoked fleur de sel. It just gives it a little bit of body and flavor to it. It's kind of hidden actually because you're not putting a lot in there. Then we're gonna add our fresh rosemary.
It's really gonna brighten things up.
It'll brighten it up. It'll give us a little herbaceous flavor. Then some fresh cracked black pepper.
Wow. Wow, if folks could only smell what's taking place on this grill, it's absolutely incredible here.
So we're getting close to wanting to cover this. And we're gonna go off the direct heat, which is boiling right now, over the indirect and let it steam out.
Got you.
So this is...
If I can add any value to this risotto cook, I think it's this. Watch closely.
Awesome. Reggiano, Parmigiano Reggiano, our olive oil.
Wow.
And then we're gonna add fresh Amish butter.
Fresh Amish butter.
Absolutely.
So olive oil, fresh Amish butter, the Parmigiano Reggiano. We have the smoked fleur de sel from BLiS Gourmet. We have the cracked black peppercorn. Steve, this is one of my very favorite products. So this is the BLiS white truffle oil. Tell me about this.
Well, there's a couple different types of essences to use. One is a synthetic and one is organic. This is organic, it's the more expensive. We put it into a cold pressed grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is stable. I love olive oil, but it only lasts for about 2 to 3 months. Especially in a hot kitchen, it even goes faster. And grapeseed oil is more stable, so it holds on to that a lot longer. So chefs and kitchens can use this and it'll have a lot more retention as far as olive oil.
And a little goes a long way, right?
A long way. So we're just gonna touch it up just for a little bit of flavor. I'm gonna fold this butter in just like this.
Wow.
Okay, now we're not gonna touch it for at least 3 minutes. We're gonna cover it.
And is this where we just keep drinking the wine?
We start drinking the wine.
All right, Steve, a little treat for the folks out here. We've been working so insanely hard on this behind the scenes, and I can't even tell you how long. And I know you guys know about this because you're in the distilling business as well. But we're launching out here, and for the first time ever, sharing with folks, Live Fire Republic's EmberCraft. This is a 7-year and a 5-year together. It has really beautiful, sweet, caramelly notes, a little bit of heat at the end.
Nice.
And because we're using those charred new American oak barrels, you get that beautiful bit of smokiness, and I think it's gonna work great as a finishing touch for this risotto.
And particularly with the venison, I think it's gonna be a great fit.
Okay.
So we're gonna just do that, and we are ready to go. As that fat, I'm gonna fold that fat right in there, splash a little of that bourbon essence, give it a little bit of bite. On with our creamed out risotto with the butter, the olive oil, the truffle.
So good. Risotto's done. It's time to move the venison off the indirect heat, get these directly over the charcoal, and we're gonna sear and encrust to finish. If you've enjoyed this episode as much as we've loved taking you on the adventure, do a couple things for me. Smash that subscribe, hit the like, drop us a comment down below, and leave us the GPS coordinates to your very favorite secret mushroom hunting spot. Until then, send some love over to my very good friends Steve Stallard and Sarah Sherman of BLiS Gourmet, our friends over at Primo Ceramic Grills. For all these recipes and more, get at us at livefirerepublic.com. Until then, the time for talk is over. Let's feast. Chef, how'd we do?
Really well.
I think so.
I think so too.
I think so. Mostly because the wine is completely gone at this juncture, and all we're left with is venison and risotto.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna eat it.
We're gonna eat it. That's not a disappointing thing to be left with, though,
Not
right?
at all.
Well, I'm gonna let you do the honors, Chef. All right, here we go. Let's get in. We're gonna go a center cut on this bad boy. Let's see if we can't do this right here. Come on. Woo! And that's a cut. Look at that. Dig into that. That's amazing. How'd we do, huh?
Awesome.
Awesome, I think.
Absolutely perfect.
Let's carve off a little slice. I want to get a taste of this, man. The aroma on this is nuts, isn't it?
It is.
I'm gonna get rid of this just all together here. Let's just carve around that. Chef?
I'm doing it. Phenomenal.
Oh, tender. You get a little bit of that smokiness in there. It's way more sweet than I expected. The meat profile, actually the protein profile is fairly sweet, right?
But the gaminess comes through with that smoked soy, the mushroom dust that you put on.
Right.
Perfect. I'm going to use this now. I'm going to use this
Please
all
do.
the time.
Please do, my man. In fact,
crust.
I have tons of mushroom here for you right now. But speaking of which, shall we?
Let's do this.
Here we go. Look at this.
Risotto,
Look how beautifully that came out.
chanterelle, lobster and chicken. Cheers. Stop it. Are you kidding me?
No,
With that and that.
it's
Touch of
almost so
rosemary.
rice, the arbor ale, prepared al dente. It's beautiful, but it's crazy though the texture you get out of those mushrooms.
It is. You're right.
What I mean is that's the chicken in the woods that I'm getting though. It's that
It is.
It's almost a meaty like its texture.
It's the chicken, it's the lobster mushroom, it's also the chanterelles are really soft, but they are also very sweet. But that bourbon extra,
Yes, you get it like right at the end. It's like
light
that.
fire bourbon, perfect. What a finishing agent.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely.
It's that Amish butter is almost like carrying it across the palate with that truffle oil from BLiS, and you got the Ember Craft just to finish.
Ember Craft to finish. Everything works together.
It does.
It's like harmony.
Man, this, Chef, I'll tell you what, this whole day has been a treat. And I've said it before in this episode, I learn something every time we're together, but today was so much fun. From you taking us out foraging to this cook here. I mean, really something special, my friend.
It's been great.
Thank you so much. My friends, this has been reverse seared rack of venison and wild mushroom risotto, all over live fire. Stay hungry. Yeah, I was thinking about the camera lens literally melting into the If you enjoyed this episode 3.
And here we are. And you're blaming it on me
Yeah, I know.
that I drink too much wine.
Someone's got to do it.
All
right. Oh, okay, here we go. Ready? What we cooked today, Alex? Venison? Yeah, cooked venison. So this has been reverse seared venison, rack of venison. Okay, okay. This has been, okay, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. All right, 3, 2, and 1.